Thank you, Miss Tina. We try to get Tina to play. I've been working on the railroad, but she would not do it because we've been working so hard at getting this done. But that was much more appropriate. We appreciate her playing us in. Gary and I want to go over just a few things as we come back for our service this next Sunday morning at 11 a.m. I think the very first thing we want to say is this. Listen, if you're at high risk, we don't want you to feel at all guilty about not being here. Just continue to worship with us online. We're going to continue to worship online, and we have been, and we're even trying to upgrade our online look a little bit. We've been praying about that and been discussing that, about how we can do that. And so you be praying about that as well. But listen, if you are at high risk because of anything, your age, or because of some health risk that you have, we have a dear friend who has asthma, who's a young person. But listen, they're on a number of medications. They just have to be extremely careful in coming back. And so we want to encourage you, please don't feel guilty if you cannot come. The second thing is this: we're limited in space. And so we have a total of about 96 to 100 people that we will be able to fit in the sanctuary and still honor the social distancing guidelines that have been put in place. And we want to do that. So this is what we are wanting to do. Rather than us having an overflow and asking people to go down into the fellowship hall and to worship there and watch us on a television screen, which they are already doing at home, we are going to open up a second service if we need to. So, with that being said, you say, well, Brother Mark, why aren't you doing overflow? Well, this is kind of the response that we've been getting. Pastor Mark, we don't mind doing that, but really if we've got to, if we're going to come there, really have to keep our distance from people. You're encouraging us to wear masks, which we're going to talk about that a little bit later. It's not mandatory, but we are encouraging it. If I have to go downstairs to the fellowship hall and watch you, why wouldn't I just stay at home and do that? So, rather than giving that option, what we've decided to do is we're going to, once our numbers hit a certain number, we're going to open up a second service. The first service will be at 11 a.m. The second service, we're going to start at 9 a.m., okay? So really that'll be the first service, but the one that we're going to put online first is the 11 a.m. Once that fills up, then we'll open up at 9 a.m. Now, I want you to listen to this. We're going to ask you to go online and register so that we'll have an idea of the number of people that are going to come. Gary knows about this, and I'm going to ask Gary to explain this to you. It's something called Eventbrite. And Gary, why don't you go into details with them?
Okay. What we've done is we've gone on to an online organization called Eventbrite, which is an online ticketing application. If you've maybe gone to a concert up at Chattanooga, we went and saw the Gaithers. We've been to see a couple of them, and we usually buy those tickets on Eventbrite. Well, Eventbrite allows us to go in and say, okay, we have 100 tickets that we're going to place for an event. And so we're going to ask you to go to Eventbrite, and what we're going to do is we're going to set up a link on our Facebook page. It's not there yet, but it will be. On our Facebook page, we'll also be sending out emails to all of you that we can reach with it, with a link that you can just simply click on it, and then it will go on and register you. You tell it how many tickets, how many people are going to come with you, and it will then give you that ticket for that time slot. And if we have more than one service, we'll have more than one ticket set up that you would then click on to go through. And so what we're going to ask you to do is, like I say, just go on. It'll be very simple. You just click on it. It takes your email address, and it just registers you. That also gives us a list of everybody that's going to be here. And be a part of the services, so we're excited about that. We will ask you this, because our seating is limited and because we're kind of limiting the number of tickets, don't just go in and say, well, I think I might be able to come, or I might have 5 people, or I don't know. Kind of try and be deliberate about your ticket purchases. If you're not going to be here, don't get a ticket, or if you find out after you get your ticket that something's changed and you're going to have to be out of town or you're not going to be able to be here, you can then go back online and say, okay, I'm going to release my ticket, and that will then open up that spot for someone who may want to come in behind you.
For those of you who maybe like me and a little electronically challenged, and you have a hard time with the Eventbrite. Although, let me say this, Gary sent me the link, and I actually was able to do it.
If Mark can do it,
Shut up. Just kidding. Just kidding. He's right, though. He's so right. So I did it and registered 5, which does not include myself because I'll be up here. We've got a guest that's going to be visiting with us that particular morning. So we registered 5 to come to be a part of that service on June the 7th. So if, though, you are not able to get on the Eventbrite, we want you to call the office and just let us know. Give us your name, that you are coming, and how many people are going to be coming with you. And you can just call Denise, you can call Gary, or call me. Don't call Ray. Ray's on vacation this week. But you can call Gary, myself, or preferably Denise, and she'll take down all that information and make sure that it's getting to the appropriate place for us to know the numbers. We want to assure you that we have done a thorough cleaning. Our carpets have been cleaned. We have hand sanitizer stations that are out in the foyer and really are placed all along the building. We've disinfected everything, including the restrooms. Now, one thing we are going to ask you to do, if you would, so that we don't have to go all through the entire building and clean everything as thoroughly as we are the sanctuary, we'd love for you, if you would, just to come into the sanctuary and kind of stay in this immediate area, or if you need to go downstairs and use the restroom in the fellowship hall, to just go downstairs and make your way back up. That's another thing I want to mention. We're really hoping that our services are going to be abbreviated. That means shortened. That means Gary's going to sing half of a song and I get to preach. No, I'm kidding. So we're going to do probably a lot like we did this morning, maybe 3 songs. I'm going to get up. We won't have a graduate next week. We won't have a time of prayer during the middle. And we're going to try to get you out of here in 45 minutes, hopefully 40, but between 40 and 45 minutes, so that unless it's an emergency, you'll not have to go to the restroom. So those are just some of the things. We'd like for you to get here early, and the reason for that is our ushers are going to be seating you. Now, please do not get upset. You're most likely 95% sure you won't be able to sit where you normally sit. It's just one of the things, because we're having to skip every other pew. We're just limited. And so the ushers are going to try to bring you in, and they're going to set you 6 feet apart. And so please don't get upset with us. Don't be frustrated. Just, we're excited to see you, and so glad that some of you are going to be able to be here and be back to worship with us. Gary, what else do we have?
We're going back to the mask situation. We will have masks available here if you would like to wear a mask. We're encouraging a mask, but we're not requiring a mask for the general worship service. However, we will have one section on the piano side, that whole right, left hand, or depending on which way you're looking at it, section on the piano side of the building. If you sit there, we're going to ask that you wear a mask. And that way, if you're one of our folks that just feels like I feel safer if I'm around people that have masks on, then that whole section on that piano side, we're going to ask you to wear a mask over there. But the rest of the building, it's recommended but not required.
And so that leads us a good segue into this topic. Look, folks, there are people all of us have opinions about what's going on and you know how this or that or the other should be handled. But the bottom line is this: there are people who are very concerned. You may not be one of those, but we want you and would expect you, just being Christ-like, to respect their concerns and their anxiety, and let's practice the social distancing guidelines that have been given. No handshaking, no hugging. I know that some of you are going to want to do that. I understand that. But we really need to ask you not to do that, because you may be walking up to someone who just is uncomfortable with you doing that. And so we want to ask you to honor that just out of respect to everyone and their concerns and their maybe fears, if that's a good word, and maybe rightfully so, because they could have some health issues that would cause them to be that way. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate you doing that. There'll be no paper handouts. There's nothing in the pew. There are no hymnals, Bibles, no offering envelopes. nothing like that. We'll not be passing an offering plate. We'll have a place for you to put your offering as you exit some of the boxes a lot of times that you'll vote in. That'll be there. What else? Anything else, Gary?
As we're looking through, like I say, we've talked about tickets. We've talked about restrooms. Like I say, there's no children's, no children's. But we will still have children's programs. The Facebook Live or the Facebook videos that we've been putting up with the Sunday school lessons. We'll still continue to do those.
So there'll be no nursery. There'll be no children's church. So if you want to come, you want to bring your children, that's wonderful. That's fine. And we're just going to have to understand that they may be a little bit rowdy, and people will understand that during these times, since we do not have an overflow for them to go to like a children's church or a nursery. So with that being said, I think we've covered the gamut, haven't we?
Yep, and we look forward to getting back with everybody. It's like we said this morning that we can worship wherever we're at, but just being together to be able to worship God together, we're looking forward to being able to come back and do that. And like I said, we just one of the things that we talked to some of our other churches in the area that have come together, and they talked about that we did a great job of getting everybody in, and getting them settled, and then at the end of the service, everybody went to the front steps and started hugging and carrying on. All we're going to ask you to do is try not to do that. Try to be mindful of it. If you're going to do that, go to the parking lot, and that way we can say we didn't see you.
Yeah, simply because, you know, we're trying to respect what we've been asked to do as far as following these social distancing guidelines. And, you know, obviously we want to be able to say that we've done that. Heaven forbid if anyone did have the COVID-19 and actually gave it to someone here. And we are obviously trusting that if we honor the social distancing guidelines, that will not happen. And so we appreciate you taking the time to listen to us. And we're so excited about seeing many of you. And the fact that, like Russell Hedrick has to wear a mask, what a blessing that is. Amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen on that.
I mean, what a true blessing.
And I'm excited. I will probably wear a coat of many colors next week just because I'm going to be joyful. So.
I may buy one. I may go out all crazy and get one too. And maybe crazy socks too. So be sure and listen, if you're not able to be here, you please continue to watch us on Facebook Live. You're a part of the family, always will be. We're going to recognize all of you that aren't able to be here, and want you to know that we love you. Shut-ins, we love you. Those of you that are watching, that are able to watch on Facebook Live, we appreciate so much you watching and tuning in. Many of you watch, and you're in other states, and I know that. We have people in South Georgia and Florida. We have people in Alabama and Tennessee. Probably even people in that godforsaken state of Kentucky that are even watching us. And we just want to say to all of you, we appreciate you doing that. And if you have been watching us here in the area and can get here, we want you to be a part. You can get on the Eventbrite on Facebook. You can go on the Facebook. So you can go on the Facebook and you can register to come if you've never been to our church before. And we would love for you to do that. If you've been visiting with us before the corona hit, and we may not have your email address or your telephone number to text you something, forgive us. Please get on the Facebook Live and register and come. Or call me or call the office, and we'll be sure and get you registered. Thank you very much. Are we out?
God bless. See you next week.
God bless. We're out.